Welcome to Rob Schmitt tonight. A House hearing on America's involvement in Afghanistan featuring inspector generals from 4 different agencies painted a picture of a country that, despite obsessively inserting itself in foreign affairs and foreign wars, mismanages them in almost every single way. One of the most incredible revelations revealed today from a nonpartisan inspector general was that it did not matter when we left Afghanistan, 2021, 2025, 2050. The nation was going to fall to the Taliban almost immediately.
Once each administration decided to withdraw our troops and contractors, it was not a question of if, it was rather a question of when the Afghan government was going to collapse.
When the Afghan government was going to collapse. So what do we make of a revelation like that in a war that we spent 20 years fighting? Well, it means the United States could have ended this war 19 years ago, saved thousands of lives, trillions of dollars, and had the exact same outcome. It's another win for America's military-industrial complex, another devastating loss for actual Americans. As for the withdrawal itself, Democrat Jamie Raskin started off the hearing very defensive about the Biden administration's horrific decision-making that we can all see in the final months, weeks, and days up to the withdrawal. Here he was.
Today, however, my colleagues seek to blame the Biden administration for the cowardly ISIS terror attack at Kabul airport in Afghanistan, which stole the lives of 13 American heroes in the final days of the Afghan war. This is not just morally confused and politically cynical, but historically disoriented.
Historically disoriented to blame the administration which had 8 months to plan a military withdrawal. Raskin, hoping anybody watching happened to miss the last major hearing on Afghanistan in front of Congress, when service members described the chaos and disorder that directly led to a massive suicide bombing outside Hamid Karzai Airport, including from a Marine who spotted the bomber, but because the Biden withdrawal was so chaotic and mismanaged, was not allowed to kill him before he killed 13 of our own.
Over the communication network, we passed that there was a potential threat and an IED attack imminent. We asked him if we could shoot. Our battalion commander said, and I quote, "I don't know," end quote. Eventually, the individual disappeared. To this day, we believe he was a suicide bomber. We made everyone on the ground aware. Operations had briefly halted, but then started again. Plain and simple, we were ignored.
We were ignored. After being denied to kill the bomber, Marine sniper Tyler Vargas Andrews left his post and headed down to the Abbey Gate, where he himself was blown up by the suicide bomber that he wasn't allowed to shoot. He obviously survived, but says nobody inside the Biden government has any interest in hearing his story. And then what happened later, they took retaliation by blowing up a car full of kids and completely missing the mark. That's how we handle foreign policy in this country. But beyond the disaster that was Biden's withdrawal, today's hearing gave Americans incredible insight into just how irresponsible your government is with your money, while spreading it all over the world. Our troops may have left Afghanistan, but our money has not. We have dumped another $8 billion in aid on a country run by a militant, evil regime. Mindless D.C. bureaucrats pretending not to realize the aid that they are sending is going nowhere near the intended targets, because let's be honest, they don't care. It's not their money, as illustrated by Inspector General John Sopko.
As I sit here today, I cannot assure this committee or the American taxpayer we are not currently funding the Taliban.
That's because we are funding the Taliban, probably to an extraordinary extent. Sopko said today the spectacular failures in almost every aspect of our presence in Afghanistan were also responsible for the country and Kabul being taken by the Taliban before we even got out of there. Listen as he describes how the United States was paying for hundreds of thousands of Afghan troops and security force members who never even existed.
I don't know who is telling the administration there were 300,000 Afghan soldiers and police toward the end. Nobody we talked to ever said that that number was near there. We had reports that half of those people were probably ghosts. We were paying their salaries, but they didn't exist. I don't know who is putting this information out and what's the basis for it.
So our government is being told that there are hundreds of thousands of forces to secure the country after we leave. We're paying all of their salaries. They believe that to be true so that when they leave, there's going to be some kind of control of the country for some period of time, and the people didn't even exist. The security forces didn't even exist. It was all just stolen money by the Hamid Karzai government, or the new president of the country. Karzai is the old one. The Inspector General reinforcing an undeniable truth. Your government takes half of your paycheck, wastes most of it because it can, because it has no competition and virtually no consequences. And when the very rare oversight arrives, they blow it off. For 20 years, the corrupt Afghan government was stealing our money, and now the Taliban is stealing more.
We do know that the UN has told us that they are siphoning money off. They're actually going beyond what the Ghani administration and stealing money from us. So that started. When he asked State, how much money is the Taliban getting from these programs, they couldn't answer because they don't know.